Alright guys, welcome to our lesson on repeating decimals to fractions. So make sure you write down the title on the top of your page. I'm going to move on to the first example, so if you need to pause, go ahead. Otherwise, here's your first example. Okay, in example 1, we're going to do one digit repeating. So we're going to write 0.4 repeating as a fraction. So in order to do this, there's about a 4 or 5 step process we have to go to. First, I'm going to set this equal to a variable. So I'm just going to make it n. So I'm going to do n equals 0.4. This is going to give me an equation that I can now solve to find the answer. So first thing I'm going to do is, since I have one digit that's repeating after the decimal point, I'm going to multiply by 10 to both sides. So I'm going to show my work like that. And then when I do my work, I'm going to end up with 10n equals 4.4 repeating. So I'm just moving that decimal point over one spot, so I end up with 4.4 repeating. The next step is that I'm going to subtract n from both sides. So on this side I'm going to subtract n, but on the other side in subtracting n, I'm going to use 0.4 repeating. Now what this is going to do is this is going to match up my repeating sections. So these are all 4s after here, these are all 4s, so they're all going to zero out when I subtract them. What that is going to give me is 10 minus n, or 1n, is 9n equals, and then on the right side I have 4. Now this is just a one-step equation. I'm multiplying by 9 times n, so the inverse operation is divide. Divide both sides by 9, and I end up with n equals 4 ninths. And there's your answer. Okay. Now again, the reason I chose to multiply by 10 was because I had one digit that was repeating after the decimal point. Okay, if you need to pause, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to example 2. Alright, in example 2, we're going to have two digits repeating. Same process. First thing I'm going to do is set it equal to a variable. N equals 0.36 repeating. Now, because I have two digits repeating, I'm going to multiply both sides by 100. That's going to give me 100n equals 36.36 repeating. Now I'm going to subtract n from both sides. So I'm going to subtract n on this side, and again on this side I'm going to do 0.36 repeating. You can see that my 3 and my 6 are going to line up, so they're going to zero out. So 100n minus 1n is going to give me 99n equals 36. Divide both sides by 99, and you get n equals 36 99ths. I can simplify that. 9 goes into both of them. Divide them both by 9, so I'm going to get n equals 4 11ths is my answer. And you could take out your calculator and double check these if you want, but you're going to get that as your answer. Okay? If you need to pause, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to example 3. Alright, example 3 is what you do when not all of the numbers are repeating. And these are going to be the hardest ones. So in this example, I'm going to still set this equal to a variable. So n equals 0.273, but just the 7 and the 3 are repeating. Because I have three numbers, even though I only have two numbers that are repeating, I'm not going to just multiply by 100. Because of the 2, I'm actually going to multiply by 1,000 to both sides. And what I need to do is I need to move my decimal point. I need to have one set of my decimal point to the right of my decimal. That's why I'm multiplying by 1,000. So that's going to give me 1,000n equals 273 point. Now just the 7 and the 3 are repeating. So now I just have the 7 3 repeating after the decimal point. Now here's where it gets tricky. I can't just multiply by n to both sides. If I do that, I'd subtract n here, and then I would subtract 0.273 here. Well, you can see that they would not line up. So that's not going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that, because that's not going to work. So what I do is I just want the 7 3 part repeating. So that means I have to multiply by 10 n's. So if I subtract a 10n from there, now when I do this, I'll subtract. That would move my decimal point over one spot. So that would give me 2.73. And now the 3 and the 7 line up to subtract. Now when I do my work, I'm going to get 990n equals 271. Divide both sides by 990. And we get n equals
Stella Levi to the main office.
271 990ths. And that cannot be simplified. So that's my final answer. Okay, if you need to watch any of this again, go ahead. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow in class.